The Bible tells us in 1 John chapter 3, verse 4, "Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law." In Romans 6:23, the Bible tells us very clearly, the wages of sin is death. So what we have, violating God's law, leads to death. What does that have to do with the Sabbath? Well, the Sabbath commandment is part of the law of God. And people often talk about breaking the law of God. If you think carefully about that statement, the law of God really cannot be broken in the sense that it can be damaged or in the sense that it can be destroyed. Disobedience really does not break the law. Disobedience breaks the disobedient person, because the curse of the law is upon the person who disobeys. And so disobedience to God's law does not damage the law of God, because the law of God is eternal. The law of God is holy. The law of God is righteous. Psalm 19 verse 7, the law of God is perfect. As a matter of fact, the law expresses the very righteousness of God. Disobeying God does not make God unholy. God remains who he is, but the disobedient person is the one who suffers. What I am trying to say to you, my listening friend, as unpleasant as it may sound, but it is 100% biblical, disobedience is willful self-destruction. Disobedience is self-inflicted death. In Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 11, speaking through Ezekiel, God says, "Say unto them, as I live, saith the Lord, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his way and live. Turn ye from your evil ways. For why will ye die, O house of Israel? Why are you killing yourself by living an evil life? And an evil life is a life lived in violation of God's law." My friend, breaking God's Sabbath is destructive to the disobedient person. It does not destroy the Sabbath of God. I repeat, disobedience to God's law is suicidal behavior. A harsh statement, but true. As the Sabbath hours draw nigh, or as you are already within holy time, I want you to reflect upon your attitude towards God's law, particularly the fourth. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And I must leave this on your mind, because the most popular verse in the Bible has good and bad. It has negative and positive. Here's what I mean. For God so loved the world, that's positive, that he gave his only begotten Son, that's positive, that whosoever believeth in him, that's positive, should not perish. The perishing is the negative. The negative and the positive are found in John 3:16, and so I offer both to you today. Make a decision again, as I said last week, to obey God, because disobedience is self-destructive behavior. Disobedience is self-inflicted death. No amount of disobedience can make God's law unholy, any more than disobedience to God makes God unholy. And as a matter of fact, disobedience to the law is disobedience to God. Because when Potiphar's wife tried to seduce Joseph, Joseph said, "How can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" By violating commandment 7, he would have sinned against God. When David committed adultery and murder, he said in Psalm 51, "Against thee, thee only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight." Disobeying God does not make God unholy. Disobeying God does not destroy God. Disobeying God does not break God. Disobeying the fourth commandment does not make it unholy or break it. We break ourselves. My plea to you, my listening friend, is that you will bring yourself through the Spirit's power into harmony with God's law. It is a law of life. May the Lord bless you as you pursue life, and obedience through Christ is life. Happy Sabbath, and God bless you.